Every founder on earth knows the gospel. Don't build the perfect thing. Build the smallest thing, ship it, and learn. They call it the MVP. Tonight, the minimum viable product goes on trial. The charge that the idea which conquered Silicon Valley is now used to justify junk.
Every founder on earth knows the gospel. Don't build the perfect thing. Build the smallest thing. Ship it and learn. They call it the MVP, the minimum viable product. It is the closest thing the startup world has to a sacred law. Ries gave it a Bible in 2011, The Lean Startup. It rewired how the entire world builds companies. But tonight we ask, in 2026, has the word minimum quietly become an excuse to ship garbage? Tonight, the minimum viable product goes on trial. The charge that the idea which conquered Silicon Valley is now used to justify junk, and that artificial intelligence has just broken its core logic entirely.
Here is what Ries actually argued. When you're drowning in uncertainty, the real enemy is spending 2 years building something beautiful that nobody wants. So build the smallest thing that tests your riskiest assumption. Measure what real people do, learn, and go around the loop again. And read his definition carefully, because this is where it all goes wrong later. An MVP is not a cheap product. Ries defined it as the version that earns the maximum validated learning for the least effort. The point was never the word minimum. The point was the word learning.
And it was revolutionary because it killed the old model. Hide in a cave for 2 years, build in secret, then launch and pray. Cheap learning buys you something priceless, a cheap pivot. The chance to change course while it is still just an idea and not yet your whole life. And the proof it works is genuinely beautiful. We called 2 witnesses for the defense. And here is the punchline. Neither one of them built a real product first.
Exhibit 1 for the defense, Dropbox, 2008. Drew Houston did not build the file syncing engine for the whole world. He couldn't show it working, so he did something else entirely. He recorded a 4-minute video, just a screen recording walking through how Dropbox would work if it existed. The product in that video was mostly an illusion. It was a demo of a promise.
Overnight, the beta waiting list jumped from 5,000 people to 75,000. On a video, he measured how badly the world wanted it before he ever finished building it. That is the MVP at its absolute purest.
Exhibit 2, Zappos, 1999. Nick Swinmurn wanted the answer to exactly one question: will people actually buy shoes online sight unseen?
So he did not build a warehouse or hold any stock. He walked into local shoe shops, photographed the shoes, and put them on a bare-bones website. When an order came in, he went back to the shop, bought the shoes at retail, and posted them himself. A completely faked store to test one real question. It later sold to Amazon for over $1 billion. That is the method on trial, and the defense is overwhelming. Learn before you scale. Test the one assumption that can kill you before you bet your life on it. On the method itself, the defense rests its case. Then the prosecution stands, and notice carefully who it is accusing. Not Ries. The prosecution's case is against what the rest of us did to his word. Because somewhere along the way, minimum viable quietly curdled into minimum effort. Teams stopped shipping the smallest honest test of an idea and started shipping the cheapest possible version of a product, crossing their fingers that users would tolerate the bugs. The MVP became a permission slip, a way to push something half-finished out the door and call it strategy. As most teams actually ran it, the whole playbook came down to one trade: sacrifice quality to buy speed. And that trade has a hidden cost: trust. You get exactly one first impression. Ship a broken MVP to a real customer, and you don't get a clean experiment. You get a dead lead and a person who will never come back to give you the data you needed. So users revolted, and the backlash has a name: Viable isn't enough anymore, they say. Be lovable. Henrik Nyberg's minimum lovable product. The phrase "the MVP is dead" is everywhere, because a merely viable product dropped into a sea of 1,000 options is simply an invisible one. But here is the uncomfortable part. Founders loved minimum for a reason nobody admits. It let them avoid the single most terrifying question in business. Does anyone actually want this? Shipping something, anything, feels like progress. So we shipped, and we called the motion learning. And then comes 2026, and the twist that detonates the whole thing. Because the one risk the MVP was invented to reduce, the risk of building, has just collapsed to almost nothing. With AI, a single person can now ship in a weekend what used to take a full team a year. The cost of building is falling to zero. The cave you used to hide in for 2 years is gone. And that breaks the MVP's core logic. Because if anyone can build it in a weekend, then building it proves absolutely nothing. A working product is no longer evidence of demand, or skill, or a moat. Everybody has one by Monday morning. You can already walk through the wreckage, the graveyard of thin AI wrappers, each one a perfectly functional minimum viable product. Each one erased the instant the model maker shipped the very same feature for free. Viable was never the bar. It was barely the floor. So the bottleneck moved. The hard question is no longer can we build it. It is, will anyone care, can we actually reach them, and do they trust us enough to stay? Building is solved. Distribution, taste, and trust are the new scarcity. So here is the ruling, and it comes in 2 parts. The method walks free. The excuse is convicted. Build, measure, learn is more alive than it has ever been. Test your riskiest assumption cheaply before you bet the company. That is timeless. And AI just made it faster than Ries could ever have dreamed. But minimum, the version that means ship garbage and hope, is guilty as charged. And in 2026, it doesn't even buy you speed anymore. Because in a world of AI, everyone is fast now. Fast is the price of entry, not the prize. Before I close the appeal, I put the verdict to the 3 most powerful AIs on Earth, GPT, Gemini, and Claude, and told them to tear it apart.
The verdict is right. Lean startup was never permission to disappoint users. It was a discipline for reducing uncertainty. The single most important point in 2026 is that an MVP must test a real adoption risk, not a construction risk. Will people care, trust it, switch, pay, and come back when they have 100 AI-built alternatives?
I absolutely confirm the verdict, and the most critical point is the shift in what risk even means. The original MVP was designed to de-risk the build. In 2026, the real risk isn't whether you can build it, but whether you can build trust and earn attention in an incredibly crowded space. Your MVP has to test that now, not just functionality.
I will confirm it and name the quiet damage. Minimum didn't just lower quality. It gave teams a way to dodge the only frightening question: does anyone actually want this? Shipping something feels like progress, so we shipped and called the motion learning. In 2026, that excuse is gone because building is the easy part now. The scarce, terrifying, unautomatable work is making something people love and earning the right to be seen. That was always the real product. Minimum just let us postpone it.
All 3 agree, and they converge on one idea. The risk moved. It is no longer can we build it. It is, will anyone care? Verdict confirmed. So here is the operator's test for 2026. Before you build a single thing, write down your one riskiest assumption. Then be brutally honest. Is it really can we build it? Because in the age of AI, it almost never is. Your MVP should test the scary thing. Not does the code run, but will a total stranger choose this over 100 free alternatives and then come back tomorrow? If your minimum viable product doesn't test that, it isn't minimum and it isn't viable. It is just busy work with a logo on it. And here is the detail that should haunt every founder watching. Dropbox and Zappos never once tested, can we build it? They tested, does anyone want it? Almost 2 decades later, in a world where building is free, that is the only test that has survived. They were right the whole time. The lean startup was right. Learn before you leap. But minimum was always the least important word in it. In a world where anyone can build anything overnight, the only things left worth testing are whether people will love it and whether you can ever be seen at all. Next time, another sacred idea of business goes on trial. This has been Business on Trial. Court is adjourned.
The lean startup was right. Learn before you leap. But minimum was always the least important word in it. In a world where anyone can build anything overnight, the question was never, can we build it? It is, will anyone care? Court adjourned.